The leather-bound diary trembled in my hands as I flipped through its pages, each one filled with detailed accounts of my brother's manipulations. I'd forgotten I'd even kept this record, buried deep in a box of childhood memories. But here it was, proof that I wasn't crazy, that Rohan's perfect image was nothing but a carefully crafted illusion. My name is Roslyn, and for 32 years I've lived in the shadow of my younger brother. 3 days ago, he managed to ruin what should have been the happiest day of my life. Now, sitting in my home office, surrounded by scattered wedding photos, I finally understand that enough is enough. "You need to see this," I said into my phone, my voice shaking. "Vanessa, remember all those times you told me I should keep receipts?" "I'm on my way." My best friend replied without hesitation, "Don't do anything until I get there." While waiting, I stared at a particular wedding photo. The moment everything fell apart. There was Rohan, microphone in hand, his heartfelt speech slurring into a drunken tirade about how I'd always been jealous of him, how I'd tried to steal his spotlight by getting married on the weekend before his big promotion announcement. The doorbell rang and I practically ran to let Vanessa in. She took one look at my face and wrapped me in a tight hug. "Show me," she said, following me to the office. I handed her the diary. "Start with the entry from July 15th, 7 years ago." Vanessa's eyes widened as she read. "Holy shit, Roz. He actually sabotaged your college scholarship application?" "Keep reading." She flipped through more pages, her expression growing darker. "The lost acceptance letter to grad school. The misunderstanding with your first boyfriend? Roz, this is systematic." "And nobody ever believed me," I said, sinking into my desk chair. "Mom always said I was being dramatic, that I was imagining things because I was jealous of his success." The phone rang, Mom's number flashing on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. She's probably calling to tell me I need to apologize to Rohan for ruining his moment at my own wedding, I said bitterly. Vanessa set down the diary and grabbed my shoulders. "Listen to me. Your brother is a narcissistic manipulator who's gotten away with everything because your mother enabled him, but you're not powerless anymore." "What do you mean?" "Antonio mentioned Rohan just started at his firm, right? Under Deacon Wagner?" I nodded slowly, beginning to see where she was going. "And this diary, it's not just about personal stuff. There are details about business deals, about money he's borrowed and never repaid, about lies he's told to advance his career." My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Roslyn, please call me. Your brother is devastated. Why can't you just be happy for him?" Something snapped inside me. I grabbed the diary and started typing furiously on my laptop. "What are you doing?" Vanessa asked. "Making copies," I said, scanning page after page. "Digital backup. If I'm going to do this, I need to be smart about it." "Do what exactly?" I looked up at her, feeling more certain than I had in years. "Take back my life. Show everyone who Rohan really is. Not with drama or accusations, with cold, hard evidence." The doorbell rang again. Through the window, I saw Rohan's expensive car in my driveway. "Perfect timing," I muttered, quickly hiding the diary in my desk drawer. "He's probably here to gloat about his promotion." Vanessa squeezed my hand. "Remember, you're not crazy, you're not jealous, and you're not alone." I took a deep breath and headed for the door, my brother's shadow looming through the frosted glass. For the first time, I didn't feel small beneath it. The diary's weight in my desk drawer felt like armor, like ammunition, like hope. "Coming," I called out, my voice steady despite my racing heart. As I reached for the doorknob, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. Straight spine, lifted chin, eyes clear and determined. The woman staring back at me wasn't a victim anymore. It was time for Rohan to learn that some shadows bite back. Opening the door, I plastered on my best fake smile. "Rohan, what a surprise." He breezed past me into the house, oozing confidence in his tailored suit. "Sister dearest, I need a favor." "Of course you do." I caught Vanessa's eye as she lingered in the hallway, silently witnessing. "I'm presenting to the board next week," Rohan said, making himself comfortable on my couch. Antonio mentioned you're good with PowerPoint. I need you to polish up my presentation. I sat across from him, noting how he hadn't even acknowledged Vanessa's presence. When's the presentation? Monday morning. I'll email you the files tonight. That's in 3 days. He shrugged. Shouldn't take you more than a few hours, unless you're too busy with, whatever it is you do all day. Vanessa cleared her throat loudly. I should get going, Roz. Call me later? I nodded, grateful for the meaningful look she gave me before leaving. Once the door closed, Rohan leaned forward. About the wedding. He started. Don't. Come on, sis. I was just trying to lighten the mood. Everyone was so serious. I pulled out my phone and played a video. His drunken voice filled the room. My sister always wanted what I had, always trying to steal my thunder. Even had to schedule her wedding right before my big announcement. Rohan waved dismissively. Water under the bridge. Mom says I should forgive you. Forgive me? I fought to keep my voice steady. You know what? I'll help with your presentation. Email it over. His face lit up. I knew I could count on you. This is huge for me. Deacon's watching this presentation closely. After he left, I called Antonio at work. Hey, love. Quick question about Rohan's new position. Let me guess. He asked you for help with the board presentation? How'd you know? Because he's been bragging about having a secret weapon to nail it. I assumed he meant you. I gripped the phone tighter. What exactly is this presentation about? Some new investment strategy he's proposing. Why? Just curious. Love you. I hung up and immediately called Vanessa. Remember that sketchy investment scheme Rohan ran in college? The one he blamed on his roommate? The one that got that poor kid expelled? It's all in your diary. Exactly. I think he's about to do something similar at Antonio's firm. He needs my help with the presentation. Perfect, Vanessa said. This is our chance. What's the plan? I opened my laptop. First, I'm going to help him make the most beautiful professional presentation he's ever seen. And then I'm going to anonymously send Deacon Wagner proof that Rohan's brilliant investment strategy is actually a recycled scam. Roz. Vanessa's voice turned serious. This could destroy his career, like he destroyed Marcus's life in college, or Sarah's reputation at his last job. I pulled out the diary. It's all here, Vanessa. Every scheme, every lie, every person he's stepped on to get ahead. My phone buzzed. An email from Rohan with the presentation attached. It's time someone stopped him, I said, opening the file. Before he hurts anyone else. I worked through the night, making his slides impeccable. Every animation perfect, every transition smooth, every graphic professional. By morning, I had 2 versions ready. The one I'd send to Rohan, and one with subtle modifications that would raise red flags to anyone who knew what to look for. The next day, I walked into Antonio's firm during lunch hour. The receptionist knew me as Antonio's wife and waved me through. I found Deacon's office easily. Corner suite, name on the door. Mrs. Ellis. He looked up from his desk. What brings you here? Mr. Wagner, I need to show you something. It's about Rohan. He gestured to a chair. Your brother's been quite impressive so far. I'm sure he has. I pulled out a USB drive. But before his presentation on Monday, you should see this. Deacon's expression grew increasingly grave as he reviewed the documents. These allegations are serious. They're not allegations, they're facts. Every document is dated, every transaction recorded. I've been keeping track for years. He studied me carefully. Why come forward now? Because this time, he's not just hurting me or some college kid. He's putting your firm at risk. I stood up. What you do with this information is up to you. But I couldn't live with myself if I stayed silent. Walking out of Deacon's office, I felt lighter than I had in years. My phone buzzed. A text from Rohan. Got the presentation. It's perfect. I owe you one, sis. No, I whispered to myself. I owe you. Pass the potatoes, darling, Mom said to Rohan, beaming at him across the Sunday dinner table. Tell us more about your big presentation tomorrow. I pushed my food around my plate, watching the familiar scene unfold. Mom had insisted on this family dinner, claiming we needed to heal and move forward as a family. Well, Rohan started, helping himself to a third serving. I've developed this revolutionary investment strategy. The board's going to love it. He winked at me. Thanks to my sister's help with the visuals, of course. That's wonderful. Mom clasped her hands together. You two working together, just like when you were little? Remember how you used to help him with his homework, Roslyn? I remember him taking credit for my book report in 8th grade, I muttered. Mom's face fell. Not this again. Why do you always have to bring up ancient history? Because history tends to repeat itself, I said, louder this time. Rohan laughed, that practiced, charismatic laugh that always worked on people. Come on, sis. You're not still upset about the wedding, are you? I apologized. Did you? I must have missed it between your self-congratulations. Roslyn. Mom snapped. Your brother has a huge day tomorrow. Can't you just be supportive for once? I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. I need some air. In the kitchen, I gripped the counter, taking deep breaths. Through the door, I could hear their conversation continue. Poor Roslyn, Mom sighed. She's always been so sensitive. It's fine, Rohan replied. She'll come around when the deal goes through. Speaking of which, I should tell you about this investor I met. I moved closer to the door, listening intently. Sorry. Completely off the books, of course. Once we get the board's approval tomorrow, I'll route the initial investments through a shell company. Double the returns in 6 months guaranteed. My hand flew to my mouth. He was actually planning to do it. The exact same scheme from college, but on a much larger scale. I don't understand all these financial terms, Mom said proudly. But I know you'll do wonderfully, sweetheart. My phone vibrated. A text from Deacon. Need to speak with you first thing tomorrow, 8 a.m. Everything okay in here? Antonio appeared in the doorway, having just arrived from his weekend shift. I quickly composed myself. Just getting dessert ready. He wrapped his arms around me from behind. You seem tense. Family dinners have that effect. Ah, there's my favorite brother-in-law. Rohan's voice boomed as he entered the kitchen. Listen, about tomorrow's presentation. Actually, Antonio interrupted. I'm not supposed to be involved in your department's projects. Conflict of interest. Rohan's smile flickered. Right. Of course. He turned to me. Sis, got a minute? He led me to the back porch, closing the door behind us. The evening air was thick with humidity. I need you to do me another favor, he said, dropping his voice. If anyone at the firm asks about my previous work experience, what about it? Just say I handled all the investments for Dad's estate after he died. It adds credibility. I stared at him. Dad left everything to Mom. You know that. Yeah, but who's going to check? Come on, Roz. This is my shot at the big leagues. A memory flashed. Dad in his hospital bed, making me promise to look after Rohan, to help him succeed. If only he'd known. No, I said quietly. What? I said no. I won't lie for you anymore. His face darkened. After everything I've done for you? Everything you've done for me? I laughed incredulously. Name one thing, Rohan. One single thing you've done that wasn't ultimately for your own benefit. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Be very careful, sister dear. You wouldn't want Antonio finding out about that little visit you paid to Deacon, would you? My blood ran cold. How did you... I have friends everywhere. He smiled, all teeth and threat. So let's stick to the script, shall we? For the family's sake. The back door opened and Mom poked her head out. Dessert's ready. Are you two having a nice chat? The nicest, Rohan said, his mask sliding perfectly back into place. Roslyn was just agreeing to help me with a few more details for tomorrow. As we headed back inside, my phone buzzed again. Vanessa. Everything set for tomorrow? I typed back quickly. More than ever. Looking up, I caught my reflection in the kitchen window. My face set with determination, Dad's eyes staring back at me. I had made him a promise to look after Rohan. Yes, but maybe this was exactly how I needed to keep it. I arrived at Deacon's office at 7:55 a.m., my heart pounding against my ribs. Through the glass walls, I could see him already at his desk, reviewing what looked like my documents. "Come in," he called when I knocked. "Close the door." I sat down, noting the dark circles under his eyes. He'd clearly been up all night with my evidence. "I've verified everything you showed me," he said, tapping a thick folder. "The college scandal, the incident at his previous firm, the pattern of financial manipulation. It's all true." "Yes." "And you're willing to go on record with this?" I took a deep breath. "I am." "Even though he's your brother? Even though it could impact your husband's position here?" "Antonio doesn't know," I admitted. "But Rohan needs to be stopped. Last night at dinner, I overheard him talking about routing investments through shell companies." Deacon leaned forward. "Tell me exactly what you heard." For the next 20 minutes, I detailed Rohan's conversation, watching Deacon's expression grow increasingly grim. "The board meeting is in 2 hours," he said finally. "I've already alerted our compliance team. They'll be watching the presentation carefully. What happens then?" "That depends on what we find." He paused. "You should know, if this goes the way I expect, there will be legal implications. Are you prepared for that?" Before I could answer, voices approached the office. Through the glass, I saw Rohan walking with 2 board members, gesturing animatedly. I ducked down instinctively. "Use my private exit," Deacon said quickly, pointing to a side door. "And Mrs. Ellis, thank you for coming forward." I slipped out just as Rohan's laugh echoed through the main office. In the elevator, my phone rang. "Vanessa." "I'm outside," she said. "How did it go?" I met her in her car, parked around the corner. "They're moving forward with the investigation. The board meeting's in 2 hours." "Are you staying?" "I have to." I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom. "I need to see this through." Vanessa handed me a coffee. "Then I'm staying too. We can watch from the cafe across the street." The next 2 hours crawled by. We sat by the cafe window, watching people enter the building. Mom called twice more. "You should answer," Vanessa said. "She'll just keep calling." I picked up on the next ring. "Hi, Mom." "Where are you? Rohan's been trying to reach you. He needs your help with some last-minute changes to his presentation." "I'm busy." "Busy? This is your brother's big moment. How can you be so selfish?" The familiar guilt twisted in my stomach, but I pushed it down. "I have to go, Mom." "Wait, just tell me, did you talk to anyone at the firm about your brother's work history?" My hand tightened on the phone. "What?" "Someone's been asking questions. Rohan's worried you might have said something to cause trouble." "Goodbye, Mom." I hung up as a flurry of activity caught my eye. Through the cafe window, I saw several serious-looking people entering the building. "That's the compliance team," I said. "It's starting." Vanessa squeezed my hand. "Are you okay?" "No." I watched another group enter, police officers in plain clothes. "But I will be." My phone buzzed with a text from Antonio. "Why are there investigators in Rohan's presentation?" Before I could respond, another message came through. From Rohan. "What did you do?" "We should go," Vanessa said, watching my face. "Not yet." Through the window, we saw people beginning to leave the building. Some were walking quickly, phones pressed to their ears. Others stood in groups, talking in hushed voices. Then Rohan emerged, flanked by 2 officers. Even from across the street, I could see his face was ashen. Behind him, Deacon was speaking with more officials. My phone exploded with notifications, Mom calling, Antonio texting, unknown numbers. "Now we can go," I said quietly. As Vanessa drove away, I caught a final glimpse of Rohan in the rearview mirror. He was looking around wildly, probably searching for me. Our eyes met for a split second before the car turned the corner. "What now?" Vanessa asked. "Now we wait." I turned off my phone. The truth has a way of snowballing once it starts rolling. "Are you ready for the avalanche?" I thought about the diary, safely stored with copies at my lawyer's office. About Dad's last wish. About years of manipulation and gaslighting. "I've been ready for years," I said. "I just didn't know it until now." The car radio crackled with breaking news about potential fraud at a major investment firm. I closed my eyes, letting the words wash over me. There would be chaos ahead. Family drama, legal battles, probably years of aftermath. But for the first time in my life, I felt clean. Free. Real. The pounding on my front door started at 6 a.m. I'd been awake already, sitting in the dark, waiting for the storm I knew was coming. "Roslyn, open this door right now." Mom's voice carried through the house. I took a slow sip of coffee before walking to the door. When I opened it, Mom burst in, her face streaked with tears and fury. "How could you?" she demanded. "Your own brother is in custody. They're investigating him for fraud." "I know." "You know? That's all you have to say?" She grabbed my arms. "Fix this. Tell them you made a mistake." I gently removed her hands. "I can't do that." "Can't or won't?" "Both." I walked to the kitchen, Mom following close behind. "Everything in those documents is true. You know it is." "He's your brother." "Yes, and that's exactly why I had to stop him." I turned to face her. "Do you know what happened to his college roommate? The one he framed for his first investment scam? That was a misunderstanding. Marcus killed himself, Mom, 6 months after being expelled. I found out last year." She sank into a kitchen chair. "You're lying." "I have the news articles, the police reports, everything." My phone buzzed. "Antonio." "Coming home early. We need to talk." "Does Antonio know what you've done?" Mom demanded. "He's about to." As if on cue, the front door opened. Antonio walked in, still in his work clothes, his face unreadable. "I'll give you two some privacy," Mom said, standing. "No," Antonio said firmly. "You should stay for this." He turned to me. "The firm's in chaos. Deacon's been in meetings all night. They found evidence of fraud going back months." "I know." "You knew?" His voice cracked. "You knew and you didn't tell me?" "I couldn't. You would have been implicated." "I'm implicated anyway." He ran his hands through his hair. "They're questioning everyone who had contact with him, including me." "But you didn't know anything," Mom interjected. "This is all Roslyn's fault. She—" A sharp knock interrupted her. Through the window, I saw 2 police officers. "Mrs. Ellis?" one called out. "We need to ask you some questions about your brother's financial activities." Mom grabbed my arm. "Don't you dare say a word." "Actually," I said, moving toward the door, "I have quite a lot to say." The next 2 hours were a blur of questions and documents. The officers took notes as I explained everything. The pattern of fraud, the threats, the manipulation. Mom sat silent, shaking her head occasionally. Antonio paced. When the officers finally left, the silence was deafening. "I kept records," I said quietly, "of everything, since we were teenagers." "Why didn't you tell me?" Antonio asked. "Because I needed you to be innocent in this. And—" I swallowed hard. "I wasn't sure you'd believe me. No one ever did. I would have believed you." He stopped pacing. "I'm your husband." My phone rang. "Deacon." "Your brother's asking to speak with you," he said when I answered. "He's with his lawyer." "No," I said firmly. "He says he has information about you, things that could hurt you." I laughed, the sound hollow. "Let him try. I'm done being afraid of his threats." After hanging up, I found Mom staring at me. "You've destroyed this family," she whispered. "No, Mom. The family was destroyed long ago. I'm just finally stopping the pretense." A text from Vanessa lit up my phone. News is breaking. Turn on the TV. I grabbed the remote, and there it was. Rohan's face on the screen, being led into court in handcuffs. The headline scrolled, "Investment fraud scheme uncovered. Multiple victims coming forward." Oh, God, Mom moaned. My phone started buzzing continuously. Journalists, old friends, distant relatives. Everyone wanted to know more. "I need some air," Antonio said, heading for the door. "Antonio, wait. I just, I need time to process this." He paused. "I love you, but this is a lot." After he left, Mom stood up shakily. "I should go too. I need to find your brother a good lawyer." "Mom, don't." She held up her hand. "Just don't." As the door closed behind her, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Hello? Is this Roslyn?" A familiar voice. "This is Marcus's mother. I saw the news. I've been waiting years for someone to expose what really happened to my son." I sank onto the couch, tears finally breaking free. "I'm so sorry it took me so long." "No, dear," she said gently. "You're right on time." Through my tears, I watched Rohan's face on the muted TV screen. He looked scared, finally stripped of his mask. For the first time in my life, I saw him clearly. Not as my golden brother, not as my tormentor, but as someone who had finally run out of shadows to hide in. The courthouse corridor felt endless as I walked toward the conference room where Rohan waited. 2 weeks had passed since his arrest, and this was the first time I'd agreed to see him. "Remember," his lawyer said, stopping me at the door, "anything discussed here could be used in court." "I'm aware." Rohan sat at the table wearing an orange jumpsuit that seemed to drain all his usual confidence. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. "Hello, sister dear," he said, attempting his old smile. It didn't reach his eyes. I sat across from him, conscious of the guard by the door. "What do you want, Rohan?" "Can't a brother just want to see his sister?" "Cut the act. You're facing serious charges. What do you want from me?" He leaned forward, dropping his voice. "You need to recant your statement." "No." "Listen to me," he hissed. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Mom's had to mortgage the house for my legal fees. Antonio's firm is under investigation. Your own husband might lose his job because of you." "Because of me?" I stood up so quickly my chair scraped against the floor. "Everything that's happening is because of you, Rohan. Your choices, your lies, your fraud." "Keep your voice down," his lawyer warned. "You want to talk about consequences?" I continued, quieter but intense. "Let's talk about Marcus, Sarah. Every person you've destroyed while climbing your way up." "They were weak," he spat. "They couldn't handle the real world." The guard shifted uncomfortably. "Marcus was 19, I said. "He had his whole life ahead of him before you framed him." "I didn't know he would kill himself?" "No, you never think about what happens to people after you're done using them, do you?" Rohan's facade cracked. "I can't go to prison, Roz. Please, I'm your little brother." For a moment, I saw him as he used to be. The little boy who'd crawl into my bed during thunderstorms before he learned to weaponize his charm. My phone buzzed. A text from Antonio. "In the parking lot when you're done. Love you." The message steadied me. After 3 days of sleeping in the guest room, Antonio had finally come home yesterday. We'd talked until dawn, painful but honest conversations about trust and family and truth. "You're right about one thing," I said to Rohan. "You are my little brother. That's why I had to stop you. Because if I didn't, you'd keep destroying lives until there was nothing left of you." "How noble," he sneered, mask back in place. "Always the martyr. You know what? Fine. But remember this. When I'm done here, I'm coming for you. Everything you love, everything you've built, it's gone." The guard stepped forward. "That's enough." I gathered my belongings, hands steady. "Goodbye, Rohan." "You can't just walk away," he shouted as I reached the door. "I made you. You were nothing before me. Nothing. His voice followed me down the corridor, growing more desperate with each echo. Outside, Antonio waited by his car. You okay? He asked, pulling me close. No, I admitted, but I will be. My phone rang. Deacon. The board just finished their emergency meeting, he said when I answered. They've decided to keep Antonio on. His position's secure. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. Don't thank me. His record speaks for itself, unlike your brother's. After hanging up, I turned to Antonio. You're safe. The firm's keeping you. He kissed my forehead. I never doubted it. I've got nothing to hide. Unlike some people, I murmured. Speaking of which, he nodded toward the parking lot entrance. Mom was walking toward us, looking older than I'd ever seen her. Roslyn, she called out. How is he? About what you'd expect. She wrung her hands. The lawyer says he could face up to 15 years. Mom, I know, she interrupted. I know what he did was wrong, but he's still my son. And I'm still your daughter. She met my eyes for the first time in weeks. Yes, you are. She took a shaky breath. I've been thinking about what you said, about Marcus, about all of it. I should have listened sooner. It wasn't quite an apology, but it was something. Would you like to get coffee? I asked. Talk properly? She nodded, tears spilling over. As we walked to the cafe across the street, Rohan's threats echoed in my mind. But they sounded different now. Hollow, powerless. The truth had stripped him of his weapons, leaving only a scared man in an orange jumpsuit, finally facing the consequences of his actions. My phone buzzed one last time. Vanessa. You did it. You're free. Looking at Mom's bowed head and Antonio's supportive smile, I realized Vanessa was right. The price of freedom had been steep, but some prices are worth paying. All rise, the bailiff called out. Court is now in session. 3 months had passed since my confrontation with Rohan. Now, on sentencing day, the courtroom was packed. I sat between Antonio and Vanessa, Mom directly behind us, as Rohan was led in. Before I deliver the sentence, the judge began, would any victims like to make a statement? A middle-aged woman stood up. Sarah, from Rohan's previous firm. Her hands shook as she gripped a piece of paper. Mr. Sullivan's actions didn't just cost me my job, she said. They cost me my reputation, my savings, my marriage. When I tried to expose his fraud, he convinced everyone I was unstable, jealous, vindictive. Rohan stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. But the worst part? Sarah continued. I started to believe him. That's what he does. Makes you doubt your own reality until you're nothing but a shadow of yourself. Marcus's mother spoke next, her voice steady despite her tears. My son isn't here to speak for himself, but his death certificate speaks volumes about the devastating impact of Mr. Sullivan's actions. The judge turned to Rohan. Would you like to make a statement? He stood slowly, adjusted his tie. Your Honor, I admit I made mistakes, but everything I did was to protect my family, to secure our future. My sister. Don't, I said loudly, standing up. Don't you dare try to blame this on me. Mrs. Ellis, the judge warned, please wait your turn. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I remained standing. But I'd like to make my statement now. She nodded. Rohan talks about family. I began. About protection and future. But real family doesn't destroy lives to get ahead. Real family doesn't gaslight and manipulate and threaten. Rohan's lawyer whispered something to him, but he shook his head. For years, I watched him hurt people. I stayed quiet, made excuses, helped cover his tracks. Because that's what family does, right? Protects each other? I took a deep breath. But I was wrong. Real protection means stopping someone before they destroy themselves and others. Mom let out a quiet sob behind me. My brother is charming, intelligent, and capable of incredible things. Instead, he chose to use those gifts to con and manipulate. He chose to push an innocent young man to suicide. He chose to ruin careers and lives. The judge leaned forward. And why did you finally decide to come forward? Because at my wedding, I saw him for who he really was. Someone who would never stop, never take responsibility, never change unless someone made him face consequences. Liar! Rohan suddenly shouted, jumping up. You were always jealous, always trying to tear me down. Order! The judge banged her gavel. Mr. Sullivan, control yourself or you'll be removed. Rohan sat, but his mask had completely slipped. His face was contorted with rage. You're nothing without me, he yelled. Tell them how you begged for my help. Tell them about the money you stole from Dad's. Remove him, the judge ordered. As guards led Rohan out, still shouting, I remained standing. Your Honor, I don't want my brother to suffer. I want him to get help, to understand the pain he's caused, to become the person he could have been. The judge studied me for a long moment. Thank you, Mrs. Ellis. You may sit. When the sentence was announced, 12 years with possibility of parole after 8, plus restitution to all victims, Mom broke down completely. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Antonio shielded me while Vanessa helped Mom to the car. Roslyn, a familiar voice called out. Sarah pushed through the crowd. Thank you for being brave enough to speak up. We hugged tightly, two women who'd finally reclaimed their voices. Later that evening, sitting in our backyard with Antonio, I finally felt the weight lifting. You know what's strange? I said, watching the sunset. I keep waiting to feel guilty, but I don't. He took my hand. That's because you did the right thing. Mom might never forgive me. She will. She's already starting to understand. He paused. I found something today. He handed me a small, worn notebook. My childhood diary. The one that started it all. Where did you... The lawyers released it. Evidence is no longer needed. He squeezed my hand. Maybe it's time to start a new one. Write your own story this time. My phone buzzed. A text from Deacon. Board promotion approved. The position is yours if you want it. I showed Antonio the message. What do you think? I think you've spent enough time in other people's shadows. He smiled. Time to step into the light. Inside, I heard Mom and Vanessa in the kitchen, preparing dinner. Normal sounds, everyday life continuing despite everything. And for the first time in years, I felt truly present in my own story. You're right, I said, standing up. No more shadows. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant colors. A new chapter was beginning, and this time I would write every word myself. The doorbell rang just as I finished unpacking the last box in my new office. Through the glass wall, I could see Mom standing nervously in the reception area. Come in, I called out, straightening the nameplate on my desk. Director of Investment Strategy. She entered slowly, taking in the corner office with its view of the city. It's beautiful, Roslyn. Thank you. I gestured to a chair. Would you like to sit? She perched on the edge, clutching her purse. I visited Rohan yesterday. How is he? Different. He's seeing a therapist now. Taking responsibility, he says. She twisted her hands. He asked about you. Mom, no, wait. Please. She pulled out an envelope. He wrote you this. The counselor helped him with it. You don't have to read it now, or ever, but he wanted you to have it. I took the envelope, feeling its weight. Thank you. There's something else. She reached into her purse again. I found this while cleaning out the attic. She handed me a faded photograph. 2 children on a beach, Rohan and me, building sandcastles. Before everything changed. You were such a good sister, Mom said softly. I forgot that somewhere along the way. Forgot a lot of things, actually. A knock at the door interrupted us. Deacon stood there with Antonio and Vanessa. Sorry to interrupt, Deacon said, but we have that meeting. Right. I stood up. Mom, I have to. Of course. She hesitated, then hugged me tightly. I'm proud of you. I should have said that more often. After she left, Vanessa raised an eyebrow at the envelope. You going to read it? Later. I tucked it into my desk drawer. We have work to do. In the conference room, I presented my first major initiative as director, a scholarship fund for victims of financial fraud named in Marcus's memory. The board has approved initial funding, Deacon announced. Mrs. Ellis will oversee the program personally. Back in my office that evening, I finally opened Rohan's letter. His familiar handwriting filled the page. Dear Roslyn, I've written this letter 17 times. The therapist says that's progress, admitting I don't know how to start. How do you apologize for a lifetime of wrongs? You were right about everything. About Marcus, about Sarah, about me. I told myself I was protecting the family, building something great. But I was just afraid. Afraid of being ordinary, of being less than perfect. I see now what it cost. What I cost you. The truth is, you were always the strong one. The real one. I was just a collection of masks and lies. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know, you didn't destroy the family by exposing me. You saved it. Saved me even though I fought you every step of the way. Your brother, Rohan. The phone on my desk buzzed. Mrs. Ellis? Marcus's mother is here for the scholarship meeting. Send her in. She entered carrying a framed photo of Marcus. I thought this should hang in the scholarship office, so the recipients know who they're honoring. As we hung the photo, Vanessa appeared in the doorway. Ready for dinner? Antonio's waiting downstairs. Just a minute. I turned to Marcus's mother. Would you like to join us? Over dinner, we shared stories, not just about Marcus, but about healing, about truth, about the complicated nature of love and family. Mom called halfway through, asking if she could come to the scholarship announcement ceremony next week. Of course, I said. It's about family after all. Later that night, I sat in my home office, holding Rohan's letter and the beach photograph. Antonio found me there. You okay? He asked. Actually, yes. I opened my laptop and began to type. Dear Rohan, I received your letter. You're right. You don't deserve forgiveness yet. That takes time, and work, and proof. But you do deserve the chance to become someone better. Someone real. The scholarship program launches next week. We're naming it after Marcus. His mother is helping organize it. Maybe someday when you're ready, you can contribute too. Not with money, but with truth. Your story might help others avoid the same path. I still have that photo from the beach. We were happy then, and real. Maybe we can find our way back to something authentic, even if it's different from before. Your sister, Roslyn. I hit send, then turned to Antonio. Let's go to bed. You sure you're done here? I looked around my office, at Marcus's photo, at my new diary, at the life I'd built from the ashes of secrets and lies. Yes, I said. I'm exactly where I need to be.